So, the Europe Builds podcast is all about uncovering the untapped knowledge within the European startup ecosystem. And there's no better place to be than the DOERS Summit, where for the very first time, founders, investors, and operators are meeting up to turn their ideas into reality.
The timing also couldn't be better. Some European problems may persist, but we're finally seeing winds of change, from the new Commission's competitiveness compass to reducing internal market barriers. There's a lot of room for growth and a lot of room for hope. So for all of this and more, join us for this series of Europe Builds episodes showcasing some of the greatest founders, operators and investors from the DOERS Summit.
Hello, Renia. It's so nice to have you at the podcast. We go back a long way.
I know. I'm jealous. This is the second time you do this, Matt, right? Yeah. You've been doing this consecutively, but yeah.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me. It's so nice to be here. So, yeah.
So Renia Rigopoulou is here with us today, Group Product Manager at Orphimize. And, we always give a chance to our speakers to do this themselves because you've probably had to do it a couple of times in this summit and in your life. So in a few words, who are you and what exactly do you do?
So yeah, I'm Renia. I'm a group product manager at Orphimize. I've been with Orphimize the past 2 years. Before Orphimize, I'm in product for the last 11 years. So before Orphimize, I was working for eBay. I was managing their global experimentation team. So anything that had to do with A/B testing across all their 25 sites. Then I moved to Deliveroo when I met and I started working with Matilda. Matilda was actually the person that got me into Deliveroo. And I was one of the first PMs in the product team looking after the B2B experience and specifically all the integrations that our restaurant partners had with other services that our restaurants use. So point-of-sale integrations, self-serve menu management tools, self-serve restaurant onboarding, and all this kind of stuff. And after 3 years, I left Deliveroo. I joined InstaShop as the first product manager. I stayed there for 2 years. InstaShop got acquired by Delivery Hero at the time. And then I joined Blueground for 2 years, looking after the customer experience after booking has been made. So while the guests stay at the Blueground apartments.
The most important probably time, right?
Maybe, yes.
Yeah.
And now I'm at Orphimize looking after the UGC claiming team, like we call it. Orphimize is in the music industry, so we manage our customers' data, the right holders, music right holders' data, and we have the tools to determine if there is an authorized usage of the music in the UGC platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and we claim the rights for our customers.
For the loyal Europe Builds listeners, you will know this is not the first time we talk about Orphimize. You can go back and hear our previous conversation about it, but tell us a few things about what the company was like when you joined and what led you to, you think, that company at that time. What was the trajectory?
Orphimize?
Yeah, about Orphimize specifically. Yeah.
So I joined 2023. The company is growing a lot. Is not only on size but even on processes, ways of working, and of course, the typical kind of growth of a company. But as a product team as well, we have grown a lot over the last few years. We're not just building isolated products. We provide services to customers. We have a big customer base. So we used to have standalone products or services offered to the customers. Now we started talking about value streams. So as a group PM, I don't manage 2 or 3 specific products. I just manage a value stream for the company. So a specific area. And we look at it holistically, not just product isolated, but I work very close with my business partner, my operations team, and we set up goals in a kind of collective way. So that has helped us a lot grow in the past few months and make more strategic and data-informed decisions. So it's really exciting that our customers and our market is the US market, but the majority of the R&D team is in Greece, but we also have offices in Japan, Sri Lanka, Bulgaria. So it has this kind of multinational, multicultural mentality that is not very common to find it in Greece. So, coming from London and US, that's something that I missed. I'm really happy that I work in a company that is kind of like international and, also not dependent only on the Greek market, but focus on the US market as well.
Yeah.
I'm coming more from the business side and you do come more from the product side. And I have to say, because we go a while back, you're one of the most revenue-focused PM I've seen in my history of working with PMs.
There we go. And Matt doesn't give compliments easily. So, yeah.
How, is that true? Is it that PMs, is my impression correct? Number one. And then number two, kind of how do you cultivate that within your team? Now you have a team of product managers.
So you have to be, I want to avoid saying the phrase data driven. I prefer the data informed, because sometimes when you just focus on the exact data, you may make the wrong decisions. I learned that at eBay, where we were experimenting even the smallest change. They are so obsessed with A/B testing that they would just test even the change of a font or the change of a color. So they would just depend on the data to tell you if you change that button from blue to green. So it's good to experiment. It's good to look at the data, but to inform you to make the decision, not just for the data to make the decision for you. So it's good to make data-informed decisions. So depending on your product, revenue may be your target, net promoter score may be another target for another. It really depends on your area. But APMs should know their customers, and they should know the company goals and how these translate to their products and how they can affect the company goals. So with my team, I try to keep them focused on, we just don't build features or products because, we like those ideas. It's because they're going to have an X impact or they're going to help the company achieve X, Y, Z.
Can you deep dive a bit on kind of one kind of process or one kind of system you build within any of the organizations that you work in that have really kind of helped the company grow?
A good example is at Deliveroo. So most of our customers are the restaurants. The restaurant have a number of solutions that they use on a daily basis. That might be Deliveroo for online orders. They have their point of sale. They have their marketing tools. They have kitchen management tools. So there was a need to put automation into their all the tasks that happen at the restaurant. So one of the things we worked on is the first ever public API that Deliveroo built for point of sale companies and to integrate with. That not only saved lots of costs for our restaurant partners and make them happy, but I create this kind of sales kind of lever, so we can have an exclusive deal with our restaurant. So the main thing that would differentiate, for example, Deliveroo with Uber Eats is the restaurant kind of selection on the app. So if we were managed to keep our restaurants exclusive to Deliveroo, the customers would choose to download the Deliveroo app over the Uber Eats ad. So having this integration and allowing the restaurants to save money on their day-to-day costs allows to have exclusive deals with our restaurant partners and increase number of orders, increase revenue, etc. That was a big thing. And of course, at InstaShop, we work really hard during COVID to grow our product and of course achieve the acquisition from Delivery Hero. It was a challenge for us during that time. The team did an amazing job working endless hours, but we managed to grow, be live during COVID with the amount of orders that we would receive. Everything was online at the time, but also achieve this kind of
I had a follow-up on the first insight you shared, which I thought was very interesting. To what extent do you think these insights about product, ways of working, etc., come by looking at your competitors versus sometimes coming from just more introspection, more looking inwards, etc. Right? So I think they can come from both. And you brought an example of the former. What's an example of the latter? And how do you seek for these changes, these improvements in ways of working from within, not necessarily looking at only what competitors do?
Yeah. So within from our other team members or the business itself, you mean?
Both, yeah.
So you can look at the competition, but like if you take Deliveroo, like at the time we were in 15 markets, and in every market we may have had like 2 or 3 different competitors. So it's really hard to stay up to date with everything that's going on around. You try and you do your best, especially with the big competitors, but it's really important to be really close to the customers, the actual users. Could be on Deliveroo, could be the actual customer ordering the food, but it could be also the driver or the person at the kitchen, at the restaurant, that they use a tablet to accept the order. So for me, it's really important to be very close to the customer, but also the people that they work to support the customer. So you get insights either by the account management team, the sales team, the ops people, especially if you may have products that they're 100% internal focused.
Yeah, true.
So, for example, I have one of these products right now that is used only by our operations teams. So I'm almost every other week with them on their second floor, which is their offices, just working by that team. So I can observe them, see how they use the product, get insights, etc. Or at Deliveroo, we take you remember we were taking the engineers. We would do the deliveries, but we would also take the engineers do
in the kitchen shifts.
In the kitchen shifts at the KFC or Wagamama. In London.
I didn't know.
Yeah, of course.
So I would have engineers
true
solving.
360 view.
Yes, and
really good.
it's really difficult to explain to an engineer about a bug or about a specific use case, customer's use case. But if they experience the actual pain of not being able to accept an order with like oily hands on the tablet,
maybe they won't forget. Yeah.
Yes, they were solving bugs at the back of a kitchen. Same right now with our internal ops team. My engineering team, they observe like how painful is the process that we used to have. And it motivated them more to find solutions to speed up the process and give them the right tools. So be the user is always the answer, but also build relationships within the company so people can easily have access to you and they're not afraid that you're gonna say no as your first kind of reaction, which is usually the case.
I had a question because you've kind of served many different countries. So you've touched upon Asia, you've touched upon Australia, you've touched upon Europe, and now the US is your primary market. What are the differences that you see in kind of putting product management into action across kind of geographies?
Of course, there are markets that they're more mature, like especially trying to think about when we were doing this work with Deliveroo, like we had to integrate point of sale systems like in 15 different markets. So when you would speak with like a company in London, they would have their own in-house tech team. They would be more advanced and, able to have a more technical conversation. In other markets, like in south of Europe, they wouldn't have a tech team. It would be really hard sometimes to communicate in English, or they would just have external kind of agencies doing the work. So in terms of tech, some markets are more advanced, so it's easier to work with. And at the same time, you may not have a big competition in those markets versus in the more advanced like US, UK, the competition is more aggressive.
Like the role itself, does it change?
The role itself doesn't
change at all.
No. And in most, the role doesn't change at all, regardless the market. And also have worked in products that they're not market specific. So, and I wouldn't work on a product that is very market specific, if you ask me. I look for this kind of like international scalable element.
Why?
I don't know. It's more exciting, more
sky's
challenging.
the limit, right?
Yes, I don't want to have like a limit. I've been offered positions for, I don't know, a food-specific service that only addressed to the Greek market, for example. Yeah.
But if the single market was the US?
Yes, but again, I don't know. It makes it more challenging for me to have different kind of user personas with different kind of. I remember when we were trying to go to Israel, like we had all these new food kind of restrictions that we would have to tackle, different kind of language, left to right in all of the applications in terms of UI. So it's challenging. Or we were doing the rebranding, some colors, for example, the red color was like a no in China or Hong Kong. So it's more challenging. Of course, I don't know. Some people prefer the easy way. I don't know. I'm a problem solver. So.
Yeah, you're one of those. What you mentioned that there's a heavy R&D presence in Greece, right? And we've already had this conversation, but I want to hear your take too as to why do you think that's the case? Like, obviously, there's a relationship with the founder and a big presence in Orpheum's team, but surely there must be some other reason why Greece can offer a good pool of talent for R&D.
Yeah, I think we have really, really good software engineers. We have really talented people with good studies. Also, if you compare their studies between like Greece versus UK, the 3 years in the UK compared to the 5 years in Greece, and the degree is equal to a bachelor and a master. So you have really talented people here. They speak English. We are in a good time zone that works for many European markets and partially the US.
And in terms of all these challenges that you talk about, that some of them are global, some of them require some nuance before what you could possibly get by being here. But you think that the R&D team can bridge this by being connected with other team members? Maybe like how do you approach that, sort of connecting your R&D to the global nature of the challenges?
So it's on the PM to kind of inspire the team, like share their vision, explain why we're prioritizing this work over the other, and keeping them close with the business. For example, tomorrow I have a big global stand-up that we do once per month. It's like 140 people and includes people from the operations team, the engineering, BI, just to share and update how we do on a value stream level, not how we do, like what product release or what changes that did we make on the operations side. Is like collectively as a department, as a value stream, how have we done this year so far? What are we planning for next month? How are we going to tackle our goals cross department, which I think is really important. So the engineers get to hear insights from the business side, and the business side get to hear about developments from the engineering team. So this keeps them kind of connected. And so engineers have context, like, they just don't work on one Jira ticket after the other. So, yeah.
I have one last question on my side. If you could develop one skill instantly, you would wake up tomorrow, yes, with a new skill. In today's world, what would it be?
Resilience.
You already have that. That's not a new skill. Don't cheat, Renia.
Just double down on resilience. Yeah.
Double down on resilience. I don't know. Like, there's so much going on around these days that I think is important. I don't know. Like, as a product manager, as a person.
As either.
I don't know. I think I always love to learn new things. That's why I have changed markets and different kind of companies so far. Like, there are PMs that they just do, food or just payments or whatever. So I would definitely want to keep learning about new customers, new products, etc. So I just want to grow as a PM. Of course, in a higher managerial level, but I think I want to, I don't know, I'm saying resilience just because, women in tech, we're not so many, most of us have difficult experience in the past. So just, being there and trying to be there. And yeah.
And what's the next thing that you want to learn outside your PM life? Like, for me, if I had to ask that question back to myself, would be something, either a singer, singing, or something very scientific.
Okay, I haven't been good at that. Like, I think most of the PMs, sometimes we marry our jobs and, the hours are endless. I'm not talking about a specific company, like almost every company. So I haven't been good at kind of like investing on my hobbies or outside of work. And like, I outside of work, I keep, reading about startups, about product, about like things that they're related to what I do. Like I learn a new language to code, like the basic skills. I have to be better at like doing something that is completely different from what I do on the day to day. It might be my 2025 goal. I don't know. Thank you, Matilda. Thank you, Matilda.
I want to say thank you because we've talked a lot in this podcast about how founders are the very obsessive type and how they keep obsessing over what they do. But no, PMs can be very obsessive.
Absolutely.
PMs can be super dedicated.
Yes.
And, I think so we don't talk enough about how sometimes on the operating side as well, you can just be so absorbed by your work.
Yes, especially, people say that PMs are mini CEOs. I don't agree. There is a different, I cannot compare it. But yes, we own in terms of owning the product and owning the area, owning the problems, and being there to listen to all the different At the end of the day, you're a liaison between all these departments and you own your area. So it requires a level of attention, effort, and the hours.
Caretaking,
and especially, if you have your own team as well. It's a challenging job. I love it, but it's demanding for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. From Orpheum, sharing some great insights, great secrets.
Thank you, Renia.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of EUROPEBUILDS, where we show that the European ecosystem is no longer an underdog story.
If you liked our episode and want to hear more, follow EUROPEBUILDS on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Born's YouTube channel.